All right, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to episode 11 of Bottomless Bar. I think this is the original crew, right? The original three back together again. I am Joe, if no one remembers, from me incessantly introducing myself over the past 10 episodes at basically every opportunity. I'm with Kara and Jess again.
I'm
Jess,
back.
the infamous.
Jess.
Back by popular
Yes.
demand.
Back by popular demand. Uh, Welcome everyone. And I figured in trying to choose a topic for tonight, and for something that's very easy for me to shit on, I wanted, and that's also, I thought I started thinking about spring, right? I like.
Is it the weather? Is it how nice the weather is right
Yeah,
now?
the weather is amazing, as everyone in the Midwest knows. But we're heading into a particular time in the service industry, and it's patio season. The days are getting longer, and I think another. It's kind of like a groundhog. You start seeing all the people on patios and out for brunch on the weekends, day drinking. So we're talking about brunch today. Uh, I'm pretty sure you two already know my feelings on brunch, like as a man, an alleged man, and a consumer. My default position is, well, brunch can get fucked. I don't necessarily care about brunch. I like breakfast, but I'm still even confused as to what brunch actually is. Um, so let me start out with a pretty basic question for you two. Just as consumers, what are your thoughts on brunch?
I like brunch. I think I say this now every episode, but I really like to day drink. So, occasionally you end up eating brunch when you're day drinking. There's certain things that I love to eat, breakfast foods, and so I'll crave them and just, I love eggs Benedict of all forms with, maybe like a lobster Benedict. Um,
Sure.
I could go on forever, but so I like to eat it, and I like Bloody Marys a lot. I even like to whatever. Yeah, I like brunch.
So do you find yourself out at brunch a lot with your friends? Is that a meeting time for you?
Not like an overwhelming amount.
It's like
Um,
grapefruit juice. It
Mm,
gets claggy.
I to be honest with you, I actually prefer a shitty diner. Like
Mhm.
2 eggs, some hash browns, some bacon, and
okay.
some toast. Like that's my preference. There's a place in Columbus that we live near that we went to a lot that you sort of got the best of both worlds. It's called DK Diner. And so it's a bar, right? But it's also a little bit dingy on the inside, and they have all the like really cheap breakfast foods. So it's like you don't have to deal with the obnoxious brunch crowd that I'm sure
Mhm.
that we'll get into, but
We're going to talk about.
it's definitely a busy place, but yeah, that's my style.
Yeah.
Jess?
Jess?
Um, I'm like at this point in my life, I'm a little torn because I feel like I love breakfast food. I would eat it for every meal of the day consecutively, like not just eat it later in the day, but have eaten it for breakfast and lunch and dinner. I could eat it. I love breakfast food. Um, that being said, I have some dietary restrictions that make it very difficult to find brunches. So I rarely go to them, but if they're available, I'm really excited about them and I want to go. I also feel like I used to be way more into brunch when I was able to day drink. Like, I think I can't anymore. Like the last time I drank all day, I thought I was roofied because I like blacked out so hard. But actually I just drank all day. So
Whoopsies.
I don't do that often at all. And I definitely think there was a period. I think what I also, as a consumer, what I really liked about brunch as well was that it's marketed towards friend groups. and it's also it's also heavily gendered the way the marketing is. So like there's a lot of encouragement that it's like for like big groups of like female friends.
Girls who brunch.
Right. And so
Mhm.
like that's what I did with my friends, and I like hanging out with my friends. And so like it has all these positive, like the food I like, like day drinking I used to love to do back in the day before I was old, and then like hang out with my friends. So like
Before you were old.
yeah,
Jesus
before I was
Christ.
old.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
My liver's failing now.
Well, maybe you just
Um,
haven't recovered from that roofie.
yeah, I
that-
know. It was bad.
uh,
So like as a consumer, I was a big fan of brunch. I don't really partake in it at all anymore.
and maybe I'm gonna, just for the sake of posterity, has your time in the service industry colored your opinion at all
Yes.
Not-
about brunch?
For me, yeah, because I learned that. I'd like to say that if this isn't obvious enough for our listeners, I'm the most contradicting person on the planet. So like, I just want to get that off my chest because I feel like every time we do this, I say something and then I say something that completely contradicts it, and it's like, is this girl like high or what the hell is her problem?
You contain multitudes.
That's, there are two
um,
holes inside of you.
yeah. Well, there's Kara and then there's Carl and then sometimes there's Michelle Smith. They're all inside of me, so they all get a voice.
Joe's like, I want to be inside of you. There's no room for me.
Anyway, so a lot of people that the brunchers, let's call them, are most of the time really awful people. And so it's hard for me to be like, I love brunch, but I hate everybody that does brunch, because like then I'm saying that I'm one of those people. But my time
Well,
in the
I mean,
service. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think that's necessarily contradictory, because you could attend a brunch and not be an asshole.
That is
Right.
correct.
What? What?
So I think what you're saying is perfectly reasonable, which is
Okay,
like
cool.
the brunch population tend to be jerks, but like you still like brunch,
Mhm.
even though it's colored your thoughts on it.
Well,
Yeah.
here's what happens a lot, and my somewhat anecdotal experience. And the place I worked at a few years ago, they did brunch every Sunday morning. What happens in the service industry is that, the rest of the world goes out on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Mm.
They go out Friday night, Saturday night, and then they recover Sunday morning. And brunch has become a part of that
Mhm.
chain, right? And because you're a person, you want to live in a house and pay your bills and have a car and take vacations, you want to work where the money is. And those are the three shifts. So what would happen for me, and I guess maybe the dining public isn't really aware of that metric, right? And these may be two competing demographics that, and with a lot of shitty circumstance, it's self-imposed circumstance, they come to this confluence Sunday morning. So we also in the service industry like to get smashed, blow off a lot of steam Friday and Saturday nights. We're usually cash rich, right? And then for me at least, I also wanted to work Sunday mornings because it was an easy couple $100. It's the service is a little quicker generally, and people are in and out. Well, sometimes you have too much to drink.
You're also a part of that recovery.
You're also in recovery, absolutely, yeah. And sometimes service isn't the best. Sometimes you're still drunk when you're when you're getting eggs and bacon and Benedicts for people at 9 o'clock in the morning, when you closed the restaurant the night before at 11 o'clock. Then you drank until 4 o'clock. And then you slept for 2 hours, maybe. and then went back to work. Sometimes not showered, sometimes still wearing the same shirt
this
from the
explains a lot.
night before. Well, it just happens. And I'm not saying this is good. I'm just saying it's what happens. And maybe, so I'm like, fuck it on one hand, right? Because the people that you wait on are at least 50% bad. And then there's an influx of children.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I was gonna say.
Yeah, the kids
More kids.
Yes, more kids. And then there's something about breakfast food that gets deeper into your skin and like hair and like clothes
Interesting.
than like other food. You know what I mean? Like when
You
you
smell
work,
like meat the rest of the day.
you smell like meat, indeterminate meat product and maple syrup. That's what I always get. But so
That's so accurate. I never noticed that working, but definitely if I ever would go out to brunch, I feel like if I took off my sweater or something and then I put it on like another day, I was like, it smells like breakfast food.
like sausage links and fucking maple syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on one hand, I like the money. On the other hand, I hate the people, if that makes any sense. And there's this, I guess maybe this is a segue into my question. Is it overdone? Being industry people, is it overdone to you guys? Because I think there's a lot of places out there that want it. They want to cash in, understandably, on that chain of events, right? Friday night, Saturday night, recovery, Sunday morning. Some places I just think they shouldn't do it, right? Like they're not prepared for it.
They can't handle all that volume. Yeah.
Well, not just the volume, it's hard to staff. Imagine like you have a set of cooks that close the night before, right? And then they have to come back and they have to be there way before anyone else. They have to chop the onions, or I don't know, put the avocado on the toast. Like, I don't know what they do anymore. And
make the chilaquiles.
Yeah, make the chilaquiles. And they have to get all that shit ready, right?
Well, I was gonna say an interesting topic that I'm sure, Jess, you'll have a lot to say about this, so I'll like maybe get this started for you. But because you worked
you're gonna get her going.
I'm gonna get her going.
Oh yeah.
You worked in the kitchen and you bartended during
That's
brunch,
right.
so you'll have an interesting perspective, I think. But brunch is interesting because let's say you're a bar and you serve the same food during the week. Like, let's say you're open Tuesday through Sunday. You serve the same food Tuesday through Friday, right? And then you have a separate like order of food that you have to buy for brunch. So sometimes you'll buy a ton of food thinking there's going to be a bunch of people for brunch, or maybe you like overstaff thinking there's going to be a lot of people for brunch, and sometimes there's nobody. Sometimes there's no customers, like whatever, around holidays or like I don't know exactly what the reasoning is. Like football, like even like shitty weather, people just want to stay in bed. But it's interesting because there's this ebb and flow of brunch. And so I think that's interesting too. Something that when you said you would go to work drunk, you would still be drunk the next day. Excuse me. I should be careful what I say. But a lot of times I personally as a bartender would be like, I'm gonna get really fucked up tonight, like whatever, like I had a bad night, like fingers crossed will be slow tomorrow. And sometimes we were, and I was fine, and I just like ate food in the kitchen all day and I was fine. And then some days we got royally fucked over and there was just like buses of people dropped off for parties, no reservations. We're not staffed appropriately, just like middle-aged people that want to fucking day drink for someone's birthday, and we just get fucked up. So I forget where I started this tangent. I think I just covered all the
I was trying so hard.
I think I just covered all the things that I wanted to talk about today, so we could end the episode.
Thanks everyone
now,
for coming out for episode 11.
But no, I was saying, Jess, I was talking about the kitchen It doesn't matter. If you think that anything that I just said was interesting, go ahead and like tack on to one of the
Well, I think
subjects
well
there.
this is the common thread between all of us. We all worked at the same place and we all worked the brunch that they offered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the question that where the question came from, I don't think that we should have done it in that particular place. We weren't necessarily doing it well. It wasn't bad, but I don't think that we were set up for it.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, we offered coffee. We still do, right? We offered coffee, but for whatever reason, no one ever thought to take the air pot that we brewed into and put it at the bar and have like
Mm.
all the stuff out there.
We
So
did have the coffee.
Well, mm-hmm.
eventually, but not initially. I think, correct me if I'm wrong,
You're
but
correct.
I think I was the first one that brought it out and set it up at the end
Oh.
set it up at the end of the bar and put all the stuff there and was like, well, we shouldn't be walking off the
Yeah.
line here, so to speak, to get a drink that everyone's fucking ordering.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the breakfast things I'll just say is like, pardon the phrase, bottomless coffee. I think that's an
Mm.
acceptable thing. That's kind of what everyone expects, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That was another thing we didn't do at brunch.
correct.
Like our particular brand of service, I don't think was, really lent itself to the brunch experience. When I think of the difference between like brunch and breakfast per se, brunch is slightly more thoughtful. And I don't want to use the word elevated because that makes it sound separate, right? And I'm trying not to do that, but I think it's more thoughtful, it's more composed. And in our place, that wasn't really it's the theme, but as far as service goes, it's more like cafe style, right? So in retrospect, do you think that we should have offered brunch in that particular place? Like it was specifically marketed brunch, right? And we had a separate
Mm.
menu and right stuff like that. Like thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I think our brunch was good.
Yes, absolutely.
The our offerings were unique. They weren't necessarily cheap, so I think that sort of screwed us a bit when we had like more unique things on the menu, like to my point of buying for only 2 days a week, but having a lot of waste when you don't get the people in the door that you think you're gonna get. Um, I don't know. There's also a lot of factors that ended up playing in after we were open, like competitors that were nearby and stuff like that
Mhm.
that really screwed us. Um, I could go on for forever about that, but
Well, this is the time.
well, without giving away too much about where we worked, there was
Yeah.
a local place or a popular place nearby. We worked in a smaller building that had limited parking spaces, and
Mm,
their customers
Mhm.
would come and take all of our spots. They were open quite a bit earlier than we were, so a lot of times by the time we opened, all of our parking spots were filled with their guests.
sure.
So
Mhm.
we were sort of set up for disaster um there, but again, that didn't happen until afterwards. But and then there's also like the thing that I hated about brunch is that it this I could just
Working brunch.
working brunch,
Yeah.
correct, is well, even as a consumer really is obviously the brunch menu ends at a certain time. So a lot of times you get
Mhm.
people right after
Mm,
that and it's like same as Jess, like I could eat brunch all day long until
sure.
it's 3 o'clock and like I just want some eggs, and it's like I
Mhm.
know you got those eggs back there. Just make me a couple eggs. Um so a lot of times when we worked at the place that we worked at, they would make stuff afterwards because it's like, well, it's either we might as well make money from it. It's gonna be wasted, or
Rather than throw it
my
away.
or my
Sell it.
hungover ass is gonna eat it all
Right.
shortly. So, anyways, I've said enough.
Jess, working brunch. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking. Well, I can't like put a finger on it, but I think I agree with what both of you had said. But I also get the sense that like whatever we were doing wasn't bad, but it wasn't what people were expecting necessarily.
Right. Well, and that's
And I
my
think
point.
that had to do with stuff like what both of you have brought up, like the items that were on the menu, the cost of the items on the menu,
Mm-hmm.
um, like you know, like the bottomless things is a brunch thing, like bottomless entities, like bottomless mimosas, or you know, or like the bottle service,
which we didn't. Yeah, exactly. And
and then like bottomless coffee, and then like, you know, Bloody Marys that are so overdone, and like like with all the fixins, and like,
Well, we made our Bloody Mary mix from scratch, which is another thing that
right,
like that constantly screwed us because we would run out of mix and then we
yeah,
would on the spot make some more. Like we don't just have like Zing Zang back there. Shout out Zing Zang, it's really good, but we were trying to be unique and different, and
which isn't a bad thing.
no,
but we
but it
weren't,
just,
to your point, we weren't set up properly and we weren't
I felt,
executing it.
yeah, I felt like I was leaving most of those shifts disgruntled.
Yep.
And either because it was just me being like, this was a horrible service, like experience for me serving, or because I also felt like the customers were disgruntled. And that like put me in a mood.
Yeah.
And I felt like it's very hard for me to recall like having a shift. I mean, I do understand that like the bad shifts often stick out, you know, bad stuff sticks out, but I really don't I feel like those were the most stressful shifts for me.
Well, they blend together.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've noticed over the years working brunches is that people are kind of fucking crabby. Like it's kind of a powder keg.
Yeah.
You know, and then you add in, you know, a place that isn't, they're just trying to capitalize on a thing that's popular, and they're not necessarily executing well. They just say, okay, now we're doing this. Here you go, make it work. It has a tendency to snowball, right? Like you're putting a tiger in a cage and then putting a lot of sticks through the bars and saying, oh, well, why is this tiger unhappy, right? And for me, it's frustrating as a server or bartender. But then also, like, do you guys notice it, like, when you go out to brunch? I know, Kara, I'm assuming that you still brunch a fair amount.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Do you see that stuff when you're out, like
Grumpy
at brunch?
people?
Well, just like, you know, say you walk into, okay, well, I'm going to sidebar myself really quick. Do you guys remember Bloody Mary bars?
Yeah.
Did you ever enjoy a Bloody Mary bar?
Never.
So I don't hate Bloody Marys. I don't necessarily like them either. I do like tomato juice. I've had my fair share of Bloody Marys. I hate fucking making them. I don't want to make a fucking Bloody Mary at 9:00 at night.
Oh my
like, that's
God.
ridiculous.
That is the most
Right?
annoying thing.
Right?
I never minded Bloody Marys, but at nighttime, like there should be a hard cutoff for when you could order tomato juice, you know.
And I don't necessarily,
And
you know,
it's 2 p.m. Thank you for asking.
if we have it and it's available, sell it, right? If
it's like something, it's almost like the principle of it though, would just like
that, for me, that's
just
what it
like
is. It's the principle.
Eat me inside, where it's like, you can't look at this whole bar and find a thing that you want, but you like think, oh, you know what? A Bloody Mary sound, like, it's not listed anywhere. It's not on display. It's fucking 10 p.m. at night. Kick rocks. Like, I don't want to make you a fucking Bloody Mary.
Well, Bloody Mary bars turned into this thing. It was like a grass fire on a prairie that went through the industry. And what I seen a lot as a consumer and as a service worker were people trying to do it and not doing it really well. And as I guess this is where the service industry has colored me. I don't know if it's bad or good, but it's definitely colored me in a certain way. But there are health considerations that are pressed upon you in the service industry endlessly, and it's reinforced by the state, right? And it's in interest of public good, and you know, sharing tongs with people, right? You don't know if they're washing their hands after they go to the bathroom. You know, the food and stuff that's out there needs to be kept at a certain temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And if, there's such a thing as the bacteria zone, if no one's familiar, it's 45 degrees to 145 degrees. And bacteria, just like humans, thrives, right around 80 degrees. And, you'd see these places, they just put a fucking table out with no sneeze guard, yeah, exactly.
Sneeze
With,
guard.
with all these things and like
Ugh.
bottles full of like mixers and tongs and like just containers full of straws and toothpicks and like all the things, and then just like an army battalion of like hungover college kids
Mm-hmm.
is like, and you have no idea what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
just going, yeah, exactly. Jess is Jess is getting,
I'm unhappy.
she's melting a little bit because
Ugh.
it seems like you've been to a couple of these places.
No, I haven't. That's why I'm reacting like this. It sounds horrible.
And well, so as a service person and as someone that tries to do no harm, that kind of shit really, like, it makes me resent my own industry, if that
Mhm.
makes any sense. Carl, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, have you enjoyed a Bloody Mary bar?
No, I mean, it always sounds like a good idea. There's a place in Columbus, Standard Hall, that had like, at least in my day before they got big, when they first opened, they did like a really like crazy Bloody Mary bar. I'm talking, they came, it was like 20 some dollars, but the glass that it came in was like, what I'm picturing what it was like a stein,
I already
basically.
hate this.
Didn't
I
it have
already
like
hate
fried
this.
chicken or something?
Wait, listen, Jess. It was like a big like stein. Okay, so like let's say like, I don't know. I would say I've gotten in trouble for my assumptions for sizes of things before, but like I'm gonna
Joe.
say like I'm gonna say like 20 ounces ish. Okay, so big glass. They had pizza. They had,
What?
yep, like fried stuff, like you're saying, bacon, tater tots, like anything you could imagine, any sort of like finger food, sliders on a big, they'd give you a big, like, stick.
Skewer.
Yep.
A stick, yeah.
And you could just
Like from the
shove,
fucking
Club.
a tree in
You
the
could just-
fucking alley. Like, here's a
you could just shove anything you'd wanted. And like you could imagine,
Wait,
right?
so are
how
you saying that the customer is selecting what they're putting in their drink?
No, they went up. If I were the customer, I'd go up on the line, pick all these things, put it on the skewer myself, put it in
What?
my drink. Yes.
This
So-
is blowing my mind right
sorry.
now.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Joe.
So like if you could imagine, this did not go over well. I just remember like people in the line in front of me, they're like cheap, right? So they're like, how many sliders can I get on this thing so I don't have to buy like a sandwich for breakfast? And they're just like, they walk away and the whole thing fucking falls out and onto the floor. And it's like, what the fuck, man? And just absolute disaster. So I don't think I've ever met a Bloody Mary bar I've liked. Some people, to be honest with you, my favorite Bloody Mary is just like zing zang, some like fresh. What the fuck is so funny?
Sorry, you're putting sliders on your
I
skewer.
put sliders on the stick, or like this.
Yeah. Yeah, straight up and down. It's better.
I don't know how you'd like to put sliders on your stick, but that's how I would do it. Anyways, if I'm drinking a Bloody Mary, I just want like zing zang, some like fresh lemon or lime juice, some hot sauce, maybe some olive juice. And that's about it.
I feel like Bloody Marys are a drink where every time I have the opportunity to order one and it's appropriate, I think I don't want that.
you don't
I
want to
want
make them do
something
it.
else. And then every time I see someone else drinking one, I'm like, that looks good. Why do I never order Bloody Marys? But for whatever reason, every time I've been out at brunch and like could have ordered it, I'm always like, better not.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. The thing with tomato juice for me is like it fills you up. It's like eating a fucking tomato. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it fills you up to a certain degree. And if I'm drinking, I want a couple drinks. That's why I don't drink beer anymore, because it fills me up way too quick.
Mm-hmm.
And also, here's another gripe with Bloody Marys. Real quick, how do you two feel about, rims, like rim jobs?
Love
Like,
Mm.
we got that on record. Jess loves rim jobs.
Love them.
Loves giving them, loves receiving them.
But like, so you get a Bloody Mary. It has some type of rim, right? Like pepper or cumin or something, paprika, whatever. Do you get a straw with your Bloody Mary?
No.
Do you offer a straw with that Bloody Mary? Isn't that part of sure, it's presentation, but it's also part of the
drinking
the
experience.
drinking experience is that rim. It's like, do you get a straw with your margarita with salt on the rim?
Some people do. It's weird.
Well, fuck them.
What were we drinking? I feel like one of the episodes we were drinking something, and we were talking about the different ways that what was it, a margarita? Was it? I feel like it must have been a margarita. Have we had a margarita?
We had a sidecar with.
Oh, it was the sidecar.
With the rim
and we were
on it,
talking
yeah.
about different methods of like
Rimming.
imbibing in the rim. Yeah. Because I always find it so bizarre that people will have something that is rimmed and use a straw.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I do it weirdly, I guess, but I like lick whatever's on the glass and then drink.
Mm-hmm. I do too. Or sometimes I use my finger on the rim first. I'm being serious. Sometimes I use my
Joe
finger.
is smiling really widely right now.
He's like, yeah, she does.
Wait, listen to what she does next.
She's not even to the best part yet.
So I take my finger around the rim to put the, like tahini or whatever in the drink, and then drink it.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
Yeah, you put the tahini in the drink. Yeah.
And then you shake it all about.
Speaking of drinks, harder. Speaking of drinks, we have surpassed the 32-minute mark.
I surpassed my thirsty mark.
I think it's time for another round. Are you guys all right with that? How are you?
You check this.
Yeah.
This is the first time you've beat me.
That's true. Yeah. Well, it's just so
so good. I was trying to be.
It is very easy drinking.
I was trying to be.
It's an easy drinking.
Last
it's a super
I had
easy
a lot
drink.
All right. Of Manhattans last time.
Drink break.
Drink break.
All right. We'll be back. So again, I wanted a brunch drink because we're talking about brunch. We're bitching about brunch. We're kind of unpacking it a little bit and wondering if people, restaurants should do it. What's a good brunch? What's a bad brunch? Consumer perspective, from the service person's perspective. But in the spirit of brunch, I wanted to do a brunch-ish cocktail. And in my exhaustive 0.3 second Google search, I came across a classic, which I think is overlooked. You won't find it on a menu, and I don't think it should be on a menu.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one that I think people should drink at brunch. And it's a Greyhound drink. If no one's familiar, very simple. It's gin or vodka, 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces if you're nasty. And then grapefruit juice. I like mine in a Collins glass. Just throw the spirit in, put ice in, fresh squeezed grapefruit juice, or store-bought if you don't like the people you're hanging out with. Carl.
I'm just hanging out with myself. I don't respect myself. We already knew that.
And then serve. So what I know about the Greyhound, and I said this is wrong. I couldn't corroborate this via Google at all. But what I said for years was that you two are familiar with Greyhound buses, right? They're not a mainstay in the mass transit field
If you
anymore.
listen to episode 9, you got to hear about my experience on the Greyhound bus.
Oh, yeah, hanging out with the drug dealers.
Yep.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Alleged drug dealers, yeah. Sorry to whoever that was.
We
But
offended. I offend so many people.
you offended drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the 20s and 30s, Greyhound was a very common way to get around the country outside of, trains. Or air travel wasn't necessarily a thing at that point either. So they had their own companion restaurants that were in all of the Greyhound spots. I think they were called the Post Station or Post Restaurant or something like that. And they served Greyhounds in all of them. And I thought that's where the drink came from. But I think that's just what spread the idea, because you had a lot of people that needed an easy drink, something that would take the edge off of long travel on a bus.
Mm-hmm.
It also tasted good. But I think, I don't know if that's where it came from. What I understand, it's like a Prohibition era drink. And it was originally with gin, and that's how we're drinking it tonight. I don't know. That's how Jess and I are drinking it. But also, I think post-World War II, gin fell out of favor with the drinking masses, and vodka became chic, and vodka was replaced gin in the Greyhound. So again, I'm serving ounce and a half. Well, this last one was a little heavy.
hefty.
Oops. I fresh squeezed the grapefruit juice up in a Collins glass. Not up, but in a Collins glass over ice with the lime garnish. Jess, what do you think?
I think it's really good with gin. I'd only
Yeah.
ever had it before with vodka, and I feel like the gin adds a little, I don't know, just like adds a little something
It's like more
extra.
herbally, I think.
A zhuzh?
Yeah.
A little zhuzh?
Yeah, it does. It is a little more herbal. It's also just like a little light. I don't know. I really don't like vodka at all. So
This may be a topic for another episode, but generally speaking, bartenders of the cocktail persuasion have a diminished view of vodka because it literally is a neutral spirit. It brings nothing to a cocktail other than booze.
Yeah.
Some people will argue that, and please do. Fucking bring it.
Should we? I feel like every episode it's like, should we get rid of Valentine's Day? Should we get rid of St. Patrick's Day? Should we get rid of pugs? Should we get rid of children? And like this
Not
episode,
pugs. The other ones are fine.
I saw how you voted on that poll, Jess. Should we abolish vodka?
I don't. I mean, as far as like a viable, no.
But what will we serve in our lemon drops, sir?
Well, okay. I also think there is. So my partner has a very good friend who is Belarusian.
Russian?
Pardon? They're from like the Ukraine region. So like
Belarus is the country immediately north of Ukraine.
Belarusian.
Yes, Belarusian.
I just made that up.
I think that's
probably correct.
Yeah.
Anyways, they drink. They're like,
come get cultured with Carl.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's your culture with Carl.
Sorry, go ahead.
She's she's first generation, I think. So like her parents, they drink a lot of vodka because that's like culturally what they do, and I kind of think that that's like cool. Like, I don't know. I think that that's like an acceptable way. Like, we're also watching Chernobyl finally right now, and like everyone's drinking, like throwing the vodka back, and I'm like, that looks hard. Like that looks like.
But before we abolish vodka, have you guys seen Joe, Carl? Have you seen Chernobyl?
No.
It's worth watching.
Yeah, it's good.
Wouldn't you say, Jess?
It's good.
Yeah.
My comparable story to that is I watch really respectable show. It's called Real Housewives of Miami. And
classy.
it was not on for years, and it came back this year just when we needed it, just in the nick of time. And there's this woman on it, and she's um, from Russia, and she forces all these women, these fancy ladies, to do shots of vodka. And she's like, that's how the Russians do it, you know? And they do it with, okay, so first of all, this is really interesting. She said this on one recent episode. I just feel like I should share. You do a shot of, before you start drinking for the day, you do a shot of olive oil because it coats your innards.
What?
And it makes so you don't have like a hangover. It makes it, no heartburn, no nothing. You just do like a shot of oil, and
Have
it
you
like
tried this?
not yet, and it protects you.
Sounds
And
like what we
then
should do in the next
I know it
episode.
sounds like
uh-huh,
episode 12 right now.
and then you start ripping shots of vodka, and so like you do a shot of vodka, and then you take a bite of a pickle, which
I
like
just think,
honestly sounds pretty good to me.
yeah. I mean, I
But
just think so.
don't like
Like
vodka.
when they were having, like, so when we had our graduation parties or whatever from undergrad, this girl's family came, and it was just like, you just drink vodka, like, and it was very celebratory. And like, I don't know. I just think like the way, like, I have this association of just like, like, what's that like skinny girl like brand of liquor? Is it Skinny
That's
Girl?
it, right?
Like, that's what I think of when I think of vodka, like that, and like Cosmopolitans, and like, I don't know. Like, I feel like my American perspective of vodka is like, oh, this is like just like shitty and it tastes bad. And then I watch people like pounding it in like Russian TV shows and culturally, and I'm like,
Well,
okay.
So, Carl, yes or no? Abolish vodka.
I'd say for the most part, yeah. I mean, I guess the only time I ever drink it is in a Bloody Mary. But I could put tequila in a Bloody Mary and be just fine.
Bloody
I think,
Maria.
yeah, I think it'd be better. Yeah, I say nay.
Abolish it. We need to get a hammer.
A gavel, you
Yeah.
mean?
You sound like Frank Costanza.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
Joe's even more turned on now.
Honey, when we go to bed tonight, can you role play as Frank
Uh,
Costanza?
Frank Costanza, put the tahini in the glass, whatever the hell you kids do.
Put it on the rail.
I say nay on the abolishing vodka. I, as a crafts wannabe crafts person, I automatically turn my nose up on it. If I see a cocktail on a cocktail menu
Same.
and the base spirit is vodka, I'm like, I'm right past it.
Yep. Same.
The thing is like, and it doesn't matter what else is in it. It's like, well, vodka, it only brings the buzz, which is not bad. But as far as experiencing a cocktail and a craft, it doesn't offer very much up. And I've never tried, but I hear in the upper price range of vodkas that there is nuance from bottle to bottle. I'll never know. I'll never try unless, Bottomless Bar turns into a big money-making enterprise and we're so starved of content that we have to do a vodka tasting, right?
I think you mean when.
When, yeah, in 4 episodes.
Uh-huh.
Well, before we get too much further, Carl, have you had a Greyhound before?
You know what? I don't think that I have. I've certainly never ordered one. Maybe I've tried somebody's, but no. But it's really good. To be honest with you, when you recommended this for today, I was like sort of bummed. That's why before we started recording, I was drinking Last Word because I was like pouting about it. But it's really good. We I don't respect myself, so I didn't fresh squeeze grapefruit. And so we got Simply grapefruit, and it's really good. I mean, tastes good. I did like a whole half of a lime squeeze.
Oh, nice. Yes, a little bit more like tartness.
Yep. And yeah, I used Vim and Petal, Middle West Spirits gin, So it's lovely. I like it a lot.
Are you guys tasting the gin at all? I'm not. I mean, I'm getting mostly grapefruit, but there's like this savoriness
Yeah.
on the back end.
Yes.
And I don't, maybe it's because I fresh squeezed lemon juice. Maybe it's the gin.
Grapefruit juice.
What did I say? Grape juice?
You said lemon juice.
Well, maybe it's, I can't
Jesus.
remember. I have no idea.
One of
It's a
those
good thing we're
fruits.
recording because, yeah. Well, I fresh squeezed the grape lemon juice. And, but there's this, I don't know if that's the difference or it's the fact that
I think it's
that
both.
that the gin
I think it's both.
is backing it, right?
Yeah.
But it's, you know, a variation on the Greyhound is a salty dog, and it's literally just a Greyhound with salt rim.
I
So
almost did that, but then I couldn't be bothered to get the salt out.
this kind of it's a minerality
Yeah.
almost like at the back end of this
Yeah.
that I am really, really, really fucking enjoying.
Yeah.
A lot.
I feel like the Greyhounds that I've had in the past have all been vodka, and as we've noted, vodka brings like a burn, and that's not in this drink at all. It's very smooth. Like there is something a little more savory to it. I will also say asterisk that all of the Greyhounds, I almost said the Grapehounds, all of the Greyhounds that I've had prior to this that have been with vodka, where when I was in undergrad and it was just like in your dorm room, like let's get the bottom shelf Nikolai and mix it with grapefruit juice. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go order a Greyhound. It was like, let's have vodka and grapefruit juice.
Yeah.
In our dorms.
I think this is one you know, that's good for spring.
Yeah.
It's good for summer. I think a lot of cocktail places, well, let's say brunch places that are offering cocktails. This is one that I think that should be on offer. So you have another drink with fresh squeezed grapefruit juice, you know?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm definitely going to be drinking these more at home and ordering them out because it's really good.
Yeah. And well, that's one of the things I like about this particular aspect of our endeavor here of Bottomless Bar is that we get to like really fucking unpack this this thing and, you know, cocktailing, right? It's a good ingredient. So we're not abolishing. Well, wait, Jess, abolish vodka or no?
I'd say no. I will never drink it, and I will probably judge everyone who orders it. But
keep it for the peasants.
But right, let them eat cake. Let them, you know, have their vodka.
Keep it for the sorority sisters and the peasants.
I mean, if you're ever in, you know, Kyiv,
right,
or what's the other one that's on the far east coast of Russia?
I do not know.
Is it
geography?
Novgorod. If you're in like Novgorod, which I hear is actually a lovely city.
We have a lot of listeners in Russia, so maybe they could write in and let us know.
It's less than 1% of our total listeners.
But
I'll fucking take it.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Vlad himself.
Joe, if you like, I feel like you really need to start milking, you know, you need to start making us sound bigger than we are, like for our listeners. Like, because then people can be like, oh my God, wow, Russia?
Well, we're in 4 separate countries now.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's a big thing for a fucking podcast.
Yeah.
We're in the United States of America. Hey-oh. Also, what's the one? Romania. How could I forget? They were the first ones.
What about, we've got listeners in Nepal.
There you go.
We have Nepalese.
Can you believe it? So don't even for a second think that what we're doing here is not important.
It's a global scale.
Shit.
Yeah, we're fucking international.
Bitches. What did I say the first time?
I don't remember.
Bi-coastal.
Bi-coastal. Joe's getting super worked up right now. He's like, what are we doing later?
Can we get back to the George Costanza?
A bi-coastal rim job.
Frank Costanza.
Oh, sorry, Frank. That's even more of a compliment.
So we're not abolishing vodka.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Greyhounds are good. I think
Greyhounds are
that's the
good.
takeaway with all this. Any more to say about brunch, Jess? We just had you riled
Oh,
up.
I was just reminiscing on my favorite
Exactly.
experiences.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about what got me going is we were talking about where I forget how I started this tangent, but I think Kara said something and then I was like, yeah, like, it's like this whole group of factors where you have like larger parties coming in for brunch and they're sometimes there for a really long part of the day because once you start drinking you just feel like, oh, I'll just keep going, there's no one else wants to engage with a Sunday anyways, so like fuck it, like let's just drink all day. Often there's actually more kids, so these huge parties, messy tables, like we don't have any help. And then I was recalling my worst shift ever in the service, like not in the service industry, but as a bar or at the place where we worked. Where
Mhm.
at this time when this was happening, I was bar backing. So have we talked about bar backing at all before? Have we defined it? Because I feel like before I did it, I didn't even know this was a thing.
That you didn't know bar backing was
I
a thing.
didn't know what bar backing was.
We have not on the pod. We haven't unpacked
I feel like we should like real quick.
real quick. So I think there's like modern day bar backing, and then there's bar backing when I was a younger person. You know, there are there used to be levels to this, right? When there were fewer restaurants and it was less marketed, and there was more. It was more of a career choice. Back in the '90s, or 70s, '80s, '90s, or whatever. If you wanted to be a bartender, you started out as a barback.
Ayo.
Right? You started out as a barback. You found your way around the bar. You restocked things. You squeezed the juices. You learned the things. Right? Kind of like if you wanted to be a server, you started out bussing tables. If you wanted to work in the kitchen, you started out as a garmager or prep cook or sometimes
Dishwasher
a
even.
dishwasher. Yeah, exactly. And you worked your way up, and you could make, historically at least, a career out of these things. Well, bar backing these days, in my experience, is a shell of its former self. It is that's what it is in my head, but that's not your experience. Kind of.
Well, it is
but
kind of my
kind
experience,
of,
but I don't know
yeah.
how. But based on the other barbacks that we had, that doesn't seem like it's
But
the
that,
general.
but that's
experience.
unique. I think
Yeah.
Carl can opine, like can corroborate that, right? Like our other barbacks were expendable at best, right? And they were there. There was no mentorship for them. There was no like, hey, look, we're gonna set you up and give you a couple of skills, one or two skills that you can parlay into.
Yeah.
No, it was just like,
whatever.
come in, do the dirty work.
Yeah.
Wash
Have
dishes.
your shift beer and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you basically back the bartenders, and you can, at least where I was, do everything, work your way up to doing everything except for pouring alcohol, and you don't collect cash tips, but you do get a cut of tips where
you get tipped out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I was doing at this particular juncture, and I remember this shift was literally so bad that I walked. So I walked to work every day, and I walked home. It was like a 5-8 minute walk just up the street. I walked home. It was summer. I remember, like,
well, what had happened during the shift?
I just want to start off with I want to paint the picture.
Sorry,
it was so bad, and like the shifts were not very long either, right? Like especially if you opened on brunch. Our shifts where we worked were not very long, but they were fucking brutal. And I walked back, and I just, my partner was in the apartment, like waiting to hang out with me. And I just like sat. So our apartment was like elevated, like outside. There's a 4-unit building, and like from the sidewalk, you went up a set of stairs, and then you walked into the apartment building. And I just sat on the stoop, and I just like laid down, like with my feet on the stairs and my body just on the ground. And I just like closed my eyes and laid outside in front of our fucking building.
And you were fine.
Just like, I fucking hate my life. 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 Anyways, what had happened was we had been slammed at brunch. and our manager at the time, you know, was supposed to like pay attention, like watch the cameras and like come out and give us backup because we were constantly understaffed. Like,
Yes.
like
Well,
especially like when we were busy, like I think like there was a certain level of like turnover that we could handle, but like it felt like we just never had enough bodies.
I think in the interest of fairness, I want to say, you know, I don't personally, I didn't necessarily hate that we were understaffed because we made more money, but in your
Yeah.
position, it probably didn't help.
It
right?
wasn't great because I wasn't making a lot
Right.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear that. And as a bartender, you know, I also benefited from that eventually. So we were just getting slammed the whole shift. And then I remember we had this turnover period where like all these huge parties that had like just destroyed their table spaces and like moved everything around. And like I was the only one there really to bust because the bartenders were, you know, bartending because they
Mhm.
were busy.
Mhm.
You know, I had to like turn over the whole space because we had like the midday, like later afternoon crowd coming in. And we were just like, the bar was just covered with like empty dishes. And like, you can only bust so much, you can only clear so much before you have to stop and actually do the dishes and then like
Mhm.
put stuff away. Like, there's like, you can only do so much. And I remember the manager at the time, had come out to talk to customers and had stood at the like door facing out across from the bar with his back to the entire room for an hour, for my last hour. And I was just getting fucked because we had a shit, like we were waiting for like another person from the next person to come in to work. And like, I was like, oh my God, turn the fuck around. But he's talking to customers. So at the same time, it's like, how do I, as like this low level person, like go up to my boss and say, like,
Mm.
hey, can you help me, you know, do my job? Which is also his job to help.
Can I answer that? Can I answer that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do.
No, I know. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm just saying like I didn't
At that time.
feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And it just felt like I'm the type of person, I think I've said this before in the podcast, where I'm the type of person who would much rather just like put my head down and take on the additional work, even if it's to my detriment, because it's easy. It feels easier in the moment because it's like, oh, just like grind. Like, I'll just do it. I don't want to I don't want to deal with another person's ego. Like, I'll just do it all. And I just remember being so overwhelmed and so like not getting the backup. And that I think goes back to your point about like not every place is set up correctly for brunch.
Yeah, a lot of places really fail on execution.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see it. You can see when places are understaffed. Sunday morning is a notoriously, let's just say you're a place that does the bulk of its business at night. Yeah. Staffing for Sunday morning is incredibly hard. And this has been 30 years now I've been in the service industry. This has been a universal truth nearly. And especially, I mean, for the kitchen, I don't know if I already said that, but staffing for the kitchen on Sunday morning is bananas. You know, people just don't want to come and work. They want to go hang out. And I think, you know, some places, if they pay a lot and it's elevated enough, it's, you know, the menu's thoughtful enough, you can get people to tolerate it, right, staff wise. But
I always liked as a bartender working the earlier brunch shift, and like Jess is saying, I just remember being like, that shift puts you through the ringer.
Yeah.
And I just remember getting off, and sometimes I would start drinking during my shift.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, little 5 ounces here and there to like take the edge off.
Yeah.
And like, oh fuck yeah, I feel alive again. And then like it gets to the end of your shift.
Yeah.
You get to the end of your shift and you just like, okay, so like just, you know, for our listeners, if you've never worked in the service industry, like, well, whatever, like every place is open different days, but in our situation at the place we worked at, Sunday was our Friday, so it was like, I mean, you know, like those last couple hours of your, you know, of your week, and it's like, come the fuck on, and then finally it happens, and your body just hurts. Every inch of your body hurts from the whole week that had
If
led
you're
up to
like
that.
me, you've been out drinking till you're drunk Friday and Saturday night,
Uh-huh.
chasing loose women around.
So then Sunday comes, you go, you work your
You know,
shift,
you
you
know how
know.
I know I've said
What's your
something good
problem?
is when Joe starts rubbing his eyes like that. Anyways, I'm sorry, Carl. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Oh, there he goes. Bye-bye. Later, Papa. Um, he what am I saying? You work the shift and you just every inch of your body hurts and you're like, fuck,
Tired.
I need a drink. And then you just sit down, you drink your shift beer, and you're like, then you have another beer. And then you have another beer. And then you text your friends and you're like, what are we doing? And then you just go and you get like royally fucked up because, and then it just like, that was just a cycle of my life. And honestly, I sort of miss it, but I don't miss the way my body felt. But
It
there
is.
were days where I was just like same as Jess, like Pod Mom would come and have a beer with me, and I'm like, don't speak.
Yeah.
Just sit
Yeah.
there. Just sit
I
there.
definitely, I don't know if that's the difference between like you being more of an extrovert than I am, but like my social life took a nosedive when I started working, like when I re-entered the service industry as a barback and a bartender because
Mhm.
I just did not want to fucking talk to. I was just so tired.
Yeah,
The
you're fucking
thought
drained.
of like interacting with a human in any way that was high energy was
Yeah.
just impossible. So I
Mhm.
like didn't I remember I like didn't hang out with friends for like 2019 basically. And I remember my literal New Year's resolution going into 2020 was I'm going to hang out with friends more and like make sure I like really invest in my friend communities, and then the fucking pandemic happened and I was like,
Oh.
are you kidding me? Anyways, it's
That's
not
so
all
good.
about me. It's like a global pandemic. But yeah, I feel like every Sunday shift, I loved getting off early because it was a shorter shift. So like you had a whole half day leading into your guaranteed day off. And I sold my soul for that shift every fucking week because
Yeah.
it sucked. But I was like, I'm done. But what was it? Like by 3 we were done. By 2
Yeah,
we
2
were
or
done.
3.
I think it was 2 p.m.
Mhm.
That's a whole ass.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of the day.
I was completely happy to give that shift up because I hate the daytime.
You did hate
I
those
hate the
people.
daytime day drinkers. They're just a different breed.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that the Sunday, especially in the summer, like over the last 10 years when I've been almost exclusively like front of the house, the Sunday nights, like being a little buzzed around like 6 o'clock and then meeting friends out and then just finishing it off hard, and having a good time and it's warm out. And that's
Mhm.
when I love the patios the best, is when it's like,
You like working patios or
no,
being
no, no,
on them
no,
as a
no,
customer?
You like to
enjoying
eat,
patios
yeah.
as a customer, yeah, is like after the sun goes down. So like 10
Mm.
o'clock at night, and maybe there's a little
All
breeze.
the bugs are hitting the string lights.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. But also having work that day, knowing you have the next day or
Yeah.
two off, and then being showing up a little buzzed,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then having your whole night ahead of you, right?
Yeah.
Like those are some of my fondest service industry memories happened
Yeah.
on
Mhm.
Sunday nights after brunch shifts. So it's that whole trauma bond where you
Yeah.
go and the world just kind of shits on you, and yeah, you get to blow some steam after that and have some, too many drinks and, God willing, some crazy monkey sex.
Amen.
Yeah. Carl, any other thoughts on brunch? Wait, are we killing brunch? Are we ending brunch here? Or is
No.
brunch stay?
No, I love
Brunch will stay.
Brunch will stay.
We have
Brunch
to have
stays.
something to complain about.
Fair enough. Well, let me ask you guys this before we go too long. But is there are there hallmarks to like a good brunch, and conversely, are there hallmarks to like a bad brunch?
As a customer.
Yeah. Like, have you been somewhere? Is there a memorable like bad brunch
Well,
experience?
I mentioned this right off the bat, which is like, this is not what I mentioned, but I'm really easy to please. And with brunch, because it's so hard to find an option that I can engage in, if there is something on the menu for me to eat, I am like, fuck yes. Like, so, like, because it's so rare. There really is not a brunch spot for me in this entire city. There's like one, I think.
Mm.
There's a couple. There's a couple. I redacted what I said. There's a few, but it's very rare. I mean, like, how many brunch spots are there for like people who eat all foods? There's quite a bit.
I think there's there's a lot, because I mean when I have engaged in brunch, I usually just get steak and eggs if they offer it. There's a really great place in town here. Carl, have you ever been to Skillet?
No, in German Village.
Yeah,
No,
really
I've heard
good.
it's good.
Yeah, they used to do occasionally they do steak and eggs, but they do it with like fucking big fat ribeyes, and it's so fucking good. But anyways, I do steak and eggs or something pedestrian, I guess,
Mhm.
compared
Something
to food, right? Like,
old
yeah,
people-ish.
oh. Right, meat, eggs,
What
potatoes,
else do you get?
bread.
Liver and
I do like a good liver and
Prune
onions.
juice?
A good liver and onions, yeah. Oh,
Just like, I mean, but okay, wait.
Y'all have
I'm gonna-
bottomless prune juice?
prune juice and sparkling wine.
bottomless
Prune juice and
juice.
vodka.
Is there a prune juice like vodka? Yeah, like drink. Is that a?
I think the prune juice is pretty heavy.
I think it's
pretty
called kombucha.
Is
Oh,
that-
interesting. I mean, kind of.
Something that makes you shit
Like,
your
you would have
pants.
to add like like something effervescent. You couldn't just do straight prune juice and vodka.
I'm gonna have to Google that. Good, get a bit of Google and go
Google it.
after this.
Goog.
Carl, any good or bad brunch experiences stand out to you?
Hallmarks. There's a place in one of my favorite cities, Austin, Texas. It's called Hillside Pharmacy. It's a lovely place. Just like it's sort of like a fancy brunch. So no obnoxious people, no bottomless anything, just really good, thoughtful food, good brunch cocktails, fresh ingredients, lovely people, excellent patio, 10 out of 10 service every time. Um, I'm the type of gal that likes like a bagel. I'm a bagel girl. If I ever make it someday, if I ever get the money, I think I'll start like a bagel place. There's a place in Brooklyn, New York that has
Not Brooklyn, Ohio.
well,
Not to
I
be
don't want to
confused with.
not to be confused with Brooklyn, Ohio, but we also have to be respectful that we have listeners that are international, as we mentioned several times.
No.
But
Bi-coastal listeners.
it's called Bagel Pub. Shout out Bagel Pub. Just like it's not, I guess I don't know if I could call it brunch. Maybe I'm just bragging about them because I love them to death. But it like insane place. You go there, they have a fucking deli case of just vats of all different cream cheeses, like flavored cream cheeses. I mean, like I'm talking like
We have one listener right now whose ears are perking up at the thought of vats of cream cheese.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
You know who you are.
But just like crazy, they make all their bagels. They make them in house. They make everything in house. But like you basically go down a line, and it's like you pick your bagel, you pick your spread, you pick if you want any toppings. Then they have fresh juices, fresh smoothies, coffee, all in one place. So when you're hungover, that's the best place to go. You get your carbs, you get your green juice, it makes you feel better about yourself. You get your caffeine. You just go down the line. So I guess that it's not considered brunch, but But before I moved out of Columbus, my favorite thing to do was go to Locks,
Yeah.
get a bagel, go to Seven Sons, sit down, have a Bloody Mary,
Did you
and then
ever
just keep drinking.
this is a little separate, but did you ever engage with Sammy's bagels?
No, I didn't.
So there's like a bagel company, I guess, in Columbus called Sammy's, and they do exclusively delivery.
Love
So
it.
like you can just order like a fucking like bag of bagels and they deliver
I
it to
didn't
your
know that.
door. Yeah, I did it for my partner's birthday this year, and we got like a baker's dozen for the two. You know, we like ate a bunch, but we also froze a bunch. And
Yeah, love
they
that.
have like spreads, like pastries, whatever. They just fucking roll right up to your apartment, drop shit off sometime between. There's a range. It's early in the morning, and it's fucking great.
Bagels and cream cheese is like dessert to me.
It's good
Mhm.
That's
shit.
like a treat. It's like,
It's good shit.
Yeah.
this is how weird I am. It's like Raisin Bran. Raisin Bran is like a treat to me.
Raisin Bran's good.
Yeah, but it's like,
Raisins are nature's candy.
yeah, but Raisin Bran is like that's what I splurge on when I go to the store. Like I'm like, oh, I'll get a box of Raisin Bran and I just eat it dry in bed. But
Okay, cereal is the best snack food.
It is. I'm not gonna say it. Just I have a cabinet full of snacky cereals right now.
That you have after sex.
Raisin Bran and Frosted Mini Wheats. I said I wasn't gonna say it, but like
Most of the cereal that I eat is not consumed in a bowl with milk. It's just like hand in the bag to my mouth
right,
as a
exactly.
snack food.
Yeah. The other night I watched Dune for like the third time, and then I
Hell yeah.
I ate half a box of sugared mini shredded wheat things. Or whatever the fuck they're
Yes.
called or whatever.
Yeah, Frosted Mini Wheats.
Well, that's a trademark. But anyways,
Anyway,
I think closing statements. I feel like I'd like to say, brunch is good. It's hard to do.
yeah.
So if you're doing it right, kudos to you because it's not easy. And if you're, on a fine line, maybe just abolish it. And if you're a nice, classy, cheap ass diner that you can get eggs and bacon and hash browns and toast for $5.50, then fuck yes, keep doing you. And I
Yeah.
also would like to say that Podmom, our Google correspondent, found a cocktail that includes prune juice.
Why didn't you post it in the chat, Pod
next
Mom? Are you mad at
episode.
me?
Next episode.
No, wait, it's no, but no, Jess, we will not be consuming this. It's
No?
One of these days we have to do Cherry Burnett.
I know. I said
Burnett's.
that.
okay,
Yeah.
and Red Bull.
Yeah.
We'll do
Yeah.
it. Okay, but this is called Bowel Banger.
Oh hell yeah! Fuck me up.
It's just fucking vodka and prune juice.
That sounds literally horrible.
So
I mean, one of these
Damn.
days.
one of these days.
One of these days we're
I
all
mean, like,
doing
if we
foul
keep doing
bangers.
this for the rest of our lives, we'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, we're 80
I'm not
in
going anywhere.
in our 70s.
Yeah.
I've been backed up. Carl. But my closing statements on brunch. I think we should keep it. I don't think everyone should do it. I don't think every restaurant out there should do it. And managers. This is a message to owners. If your manager says, "Oh, we can make it work," that's a red flag. Don't do it. If they say we can make it work, if you can't do it well, don't bother. Right? And support your staff.
Yeah. As a customer, don't be a dickhead at brunch because it's a hard shift to work.
Well, understanding, this is another common thread.
Respect that your bartenders are they're drunk and or hungover. Just respect it.
Yes.
They're just bartenders. They're just like you.
Your servers
Bartenders
too. Probably
people
people in
too.
the kitchen also.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they're there. It's
Kitchen folk go hard.
no one would choose to be working in a restaurant on Sunday morning. Few people would choose that if they had other
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
Fair.
Right? So, yeah, be kind to those people. Understand that they probably did a lot of the same things you did, just longer and harder, and
Had to show up to the bar earlier.
had to show up at the bar earlier. And yeah, be kind. Tip your bartenders. Tip your wait staff. Any parting thoughts, Jess?
No.
Thanks for coming on again.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks for drinking my booze.
Hell yeah. Always a pleasure.
Joe, good to see your face again. Carl, thanks for coming on. We appreciate y'all. I guess this is it for episode 11 Bottomless Bar. We're
Yeah.
keeping brunch. That's the
And
consensus
vodka.
here. We're keeping
now.
brunch. We're keeping vodka for now. Yeah.
I said abolish it, but whatever, guys.
But you were in the minority.
Majority rules.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know unless
okay.
unless Joe has an opinion.
No. His opinions are my opinions.
Oh, we're tied.
But we're gonna need to bring on someone to.
He's thinking about that tahine in the glass rim
He's thinking
job.
about the rim job.
later.
He's thinking about Frank Costanza.
I don't want to. Yeah, the old.
Whatever honey says, honey goes.
Anyways, thanks again for everyone that's been listening. Thanks for tolerating us. Thanks for the positive feedback we've had. If you have a question about tonight's episode, if you like greyhounds, if you prefer them with vodka, if you want to keep brunch and you disagree with everything we said, reach out to us, right? At Bottomless Bar on Instagram and Twitter. Bottomlessbar.1 at Gmail. Thanks again, Jess. Thanks again, Carl. Thanks again, Joe. This is Joe. We're off.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.